Alright, welcome back to the SuperCoach Enough channel. In this team by team preview video, we're going to look at the Cowboys and their key players for the 2025 NRL SuperCoach season. So the Cowboys are a pretty interesting team for SuperCoach, particularly in their backline, and I suppose more specifically the centre wing areas. So at fullback, Scott Drinkwater will be the obvious starter. The backup, Tom Chester, unfortunately went down with the ACL, won't participate this year. So, based on their current squad, I think maybe Purdue would be the next one in line if they needed a fullback. And you can sort of argue that for a few different positions. So, Purdue is obviously a very popular preseason choice. There's been talk about him getting a centre spot, which is where he's listed for SuperCoach. There's talk he could even get the halfback spot, beating out Clifford and Duffy. He'd probably be the backup 5'8" Tom did, and they literally don't have a second 5'8" listed in SuperCoach. So I guess, his utility is a blessing and a curse. He could end up just being a guy they plonk on their bench, although based on what they've done previously, I don't foresee that happening. They usually go with 4 forwards, including like a backup hooker option. So Purdue could potentially end up in the centre wing line. If he gets a start anywhere in the team, I think he is a brilliant SuperCoach buy. He's currently sitting on my bench in my team. So I'm hoping he gets a start somewhere. But yeah, speaking of the centre wing, there's a lot to consider. Kyle Felt's retired. Val Holmes has moved to the Dragons, so there's at least 2 spots up for grabs. And I guess even to that other centre spot, it wasn't really nailed down last year. Labart started the year and did look good, but then unfortunately got injured. I think Vilea played the most games there, but there was also games where Valemay and Burns were in the team. So, I think there is still a spot to be cemented there by someone. We've probably got Labart as the front runner, and if he is named at $3.89, it's not the worst price for a starting centre wing. But like I said, we are hoping it's Purdue. The other one that we hope gets up is Robert Derby. If he can get a wing spot, I think he is a specialist winger. If he can sort of slot in where Kyle Felt was and establish himself, at 2.14, we are absolutely bringing him in the team. They have brought Jackson Paulo up from, I think he was the Roosters last year from memory. So, he will push for a spot as well. So, there's, 8 sort of players that could fill 4 spots. The only one I think is truly nailed on is Taulagi on one wing. And even then, there's talk about he might move to the centres to replace Val Holmes. So, to wait and see. Trials a couple of weeks' time will sort of help us with that. The halves, so Tom Dearden, a bit like Scott Drinkwater's locked in. So I can see a few people going him as a pod in the 5'8" position, given his job security and his importance to the team. And, assuming Munster's fit, he might also be clear of origin duty. Although he could end up being like the 18th man, sort of like a Matt Burton type pick. So just one to watch with that. But the halfback conversation is intriguing as well. So, as I said, Purdue is included in this conversation, but the 2 halfback options in SuperCoach, Jake Clifford and Tom Duffy. So Duffy has been hyped up over the years. I think there was a bit of a play to get him down to the Bulldogs a few years ago. Gus sort of identified him. He decided to stay up north. So hopefully for him that comes to fruition and he does get a start this year. If he does get the starting 7 job at bottom dollar, I think, you have to join the 7% of people who have got him in. Because, he'll probably kick goals as well if he is starting. And obviously, being one of the main playmakers in the team. Jake Clifford scored well last year, 60 points, sort of returning to North Queensland. They obviously had enough faith in him that they were happy with giving Townsend the flick. So, um, if he continues to average 60, there's not a lot of value there. It was more get on him last year and take advantage of that. In the forwards, so I guess probably the big talking point preseason is Heel and Lukey out for the year with the ACL as well. I think aside from that, Robson's obviously locked in at hooker. They have brought Lawton up to back him up with Granville retiring. And then Robson moving next year, so Lawton could potentially start pushing for a starting spot. The front rowers, I think McLean, Tamalolo, and Neem will feature every week. Um, McKaylee, can come off the bench, but they do have a couple of other middle options in their second row for SuperCoach with McIntyre, Hess, and Harrison Edwards, who I couldn't fit in this team. Again, it's hard when you've got two blank spots to fit everyone. But the starting back row, I think Nanai Cotter are locked in. It's just the other edge spot that's freed up by Lukey. Obviously, Finny Furiaki left for the Dolphins, but they did recruit John Bateman, so you imagine he would just slot in easily. Yeah, we know what he's about in terms of Supercoach, and at 520 represents a bit of value. Whether it's enough to justify starting him in your team is up for debate. But he definitely will make some cash. It's just a matter of how quickly um, and how much. But in saying that, there could potentially be Cohen Hess returning from his ACL ruined season. He has played on the edge previously, and then sort of moved to the middle to allow Nanai, Lukey, these guys to develop. Kai O'Donnell's one that's been thrown up as a bit of a left field starting edge spot. I think at 336, if he got it, I'd take the punt. Probably same with Cohen Hess, if I'm being honest. But Hess does also then have the ability to revert to a middle rotation type guy. So yeah, I think that's the Cowboys in terms of super coach relevant options. I do like Drinkwater as a fullback. Um, if I was playing three fullbacks, he would be in, but he's currently number 3 on my list. Say he has missed the cut. Um, 3 gun fullbacks, that is. I am playing 3 fullbacks. Purdue, assuming he gets a start somewhere on the field, he's locked in for me. Tom Duffy, if he gets a start, I like. And then maybe whoever gets that edge spot vacated by Hill and Lukey, I would be interested in. Reece Robson, I guess I will mention this as well. Should start the season well, but I think he is a trade out at Origin time. Um, you know, you'd assume he will play Origin again, and then if he does, then his back half of the season will sort of slip a little bit just through fatigue. Origin is tough, so I think Robson could be a starter, but one you would trade out before Origin. But that's the Cowboys team preview. If you've got any questions, comments, thoughts, feel free to add them below this video. Give us a like if you enjoy the NRL Supercoach content and the team by team previews in particular. Subscribe for all the fantasy sports content on the channel. And other than that, we'll catch you in the next one.